I feel like in our modern day, there's this rise of a lot of people that are trying to get Christians to question their faith through a lot of various hard-hitting questions. And while some of these can genuinely be questioning and question your faith, others are not so good. Pretty recently, I saw someone make the claim that there's no evidence for Jesus and that he never existed. Which, honestly, all bias aside, that is just straight up untrue. There is more historical evidence for Jesus than any other figure in history. Literally just do a Google search on the Dead Sea Scrolls and you'll see what I mean. So the question is, when we get these sort of really not good responses that are clearly just meant to aggravate us, how do we respond? Well, Jesus did say a few things about that in the Bible. In Matthew 7, Jesus talks about not casting your pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you. But what exactly does that mean? Well, if we look a little bit later in the book of Matthew to chapter 10, Jesus is telling his disciples to, go out and spread the good news. And he also tells them that if there's a town that won't accept them or won't listen to the good news, to shake the dust off their feet and to move on. As Christians, I think there's a time and a place for healthy debate, but I also think there's a time when we just kind of need to avoid it and just realize that arguing with some people is just a waste of time. And I personally have experience with this because when I was first on the internet, when I was first online, I was a troll. And one thing that I would try to do is I would try to make people angry and frustrated on purpose. And I really didn't care about proving myself right or anything. I just cared about the reaction that people would get. And then I would laugh about it afterwards and feel really good, only to feel really bad later. When people make really shallow points like Jesus wasn't a real person, it's important that our response is Christ-like. We really don't need to prove that sort of thing because at the end of the day, it's a historical and evident fact that Jesus was a real person. At the end of the day, we shouldn't be trying to prove ourselves as morally superior to anyone else because we're not. So at the end of the day, when you see arguments and points that are just simply meant to aggravate you and don't really have any substance behind them, don't give these people what they want. Don't respond back with aggravation. Respond back with love. And pray for them. Jesus told us to love our enemies and pray for those who persecute us. So pray for these people. Love them. Gently lead them to the truth. And if you need to, just disengage. Don't talk to them. We have a responsibility to spread the gospel, but what we aren't responsible for is people's reaction to it. That's between them and God.